And there's two worlds, right? The external world, the internal world. We can't control the external world, we can influence it. The part we can control is what's going on inside of us. And that we can control what we focus on. We can control the meaning. We can decide the meaning. We're the meaning makers, and we can decide what to do. And when we make those three decisions, we're in control of our life. Where do you tend to focus more? Your past, your present, or your future? We all spend all three, but where do you spend more of your time? Where do you think most people do? Most of us who are achievers tend to focus on the future, but all the joy is in the present, right? You can have some anticipation of the future and be excited about it. Most people's stress comes from either the past or the future. The majority of people spend a lot of time in the past, right? And the problem is you can't change it. But most people go back and they ruminate about the past, or they ruminate about a future that they can't control, and the present's there. So the goal is, an ideal is fuel. An ideal fuel is a combination of the two. Present, that gives you that centered grounding, and anticipation for the future, the ability to bounce back and forth, is the ideal for people. So I think it's important to realize wherever focus goes, energy flows. It's corny, but it's true, right? In fact, maybe an easier way of saying it is, we don't experience life. None of us do. We experience the life we focus on. So in any moment, what's wrong is always available. So is what's right. So it's not about being positive. It's about being intelligent. You gotta look at the impact of what you're believing. And you gotta look at and say, where's my focus going? I can always be upset about something. I can always find something to be joyous or at least grateful for, which leads to joy. And I think it's having that, learning to discipline your disappointments. Not allow them to grow and to move on and to use whatever life is giving you. Second decision though, the minute you focus on something, your brain has to decide, what does it mean? And meaning is what creates emotion, and emotion is where your life is, right? And so the quality of your life is the quality of your emotions. Like if you think the meaning is something happens, you say this person is dissing me, disrespecting me, or is this person challenging me, or is this person coaching me, or is this person loving me? If you think they're dissing you, you're gonna have a very different emotional reaction than if you think they're coaching you or loving you. You can make some simple patterns and change your whole life of focus. Now you have an amazing life. The secret is find something else you obsess about more than yourself, and you'll have a level of energy that will compel you over the long term. When I began with a fuel, which was like, I'm gonna show them it was anger that drove me. I'm just gonna show you type of thing. But that fuel doesn't last. And then the next fuel that people tend to use is, I gotta succeed. But there's a little fear underneath that's driving them, which is like, what if I don't? Versus a knowing, it's like, if you give your all every day, your gifts will make room for you. And it's like having a knowingness that things are going to be fine. And then there's the next level, which is you start to know who you are, and you're not trying to prove it to yourself or other people. And it's just, you just want to help. It's the difference between what I would call push motivation and pull, right? Push is, I'm going to make this happen. And it takes tremendous willpower. And I know you have plenty of willpower, I do as well. But there's a limit to willpower, but there's no limit to pull. Pull is when there's something magnificent that you want to serve, something that you've got an obsession for, to create or to do or make happen. And that you don't lose that energy, you don't lose those components, and you're able to laugh and enjoy along the way. But I think the real challenge is thinking so hardly about being taken seriously just represents your fears, right? It's like the level of comfort you can have with just being your real self. And I think that's not an easy task, because we all are trying to be something, but we already are that something we're trying to be. That doesn't mean you can't be better, but it's like accepting and appreciating what you really are, and instead of projecting, something else. It takes a lot of pain out of your body, it takes a lot of wasted energy out. It gets a lot of fears to just disappear. And I don't have an easy path for that. I think it's the hero's journey. What is it? Your life is ordinary and everything seems fine, and then something hits you, and it's the call to adventure. It doesn't feel like a call. It feels like somebody in your family's got cancer. Or it feels like, COVID and somebody shut down your business, or some issue that's happening in your relationship with your kids. But if you take the call and you go on the journey, you're gonna meet some new friends, you're gonna find some new mentors, you're gonna battle with internal things within you and external things, But if you keep going, you're going to eventually slay your dragons and you come out the hero of your own life and you have something to share that isn't bullshit. It's not something you read somewhere. It's something you've lived.
You want.
And everybody can feel you've lived it because it's a different level of ownership, you know? And then, by the way, as soon as you do that, it happens again. You're called on another journey. You have a new level of challenge that you need to go on. It just never ends, but it makes life really, really beautiful. I feel if I work my ass off, now I've done my part, okay, now come through me, let's do this, and it tends to flow.
Life happens to me or I happen to life, but life happens for me.
Yes,
is
not to me.
Yeah, is a wonderful reframe.
Yeah, I really believe it. But you got to dig for it. It's not easy.
But it's got to be earned, right? Like, wishing for confidence without competence is just delusion. You have no evidence to say that you can do this thing. You have a lot of forgiving to do or overcoming to do from childhood, difficult things, situations that you've been through. How can people learn to better let go of their past in that way? I'm aware we've talked about the chip on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Can be a good fuel, but it's kind of toxic when used for a longer term. A lot of people spend their time in the past ruminating. How would you say people should let go of their past more effectively?
If you want freedom, you can't possibly have it as long as you play the victim role. None of that makes you who you are. None of that controls where you are in your life. It's like, have you ever had something happen in your life that was horrible? I mean, it was painful. You'd never want to go through it again in a million years. You wouldn't want anybody else to go through it that you care about. But after 5 or 10 years, you look back and you say, I never want to go through it again. But now I see the wisdom in it. That's like it made me care so much more. It made me so much stronger. It made something in me more. I mean, I'm sure you can believe that, can't you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the world in which something happens to you when you're younger. So for me, school wasn't that fun. Quite heavily bullied, quite alone, quite isolated. And at the time, you kind of just get through it. You don't really realize it's just life. And then you grow up a little bit, you kind of realize, that probably wasn't so good, that probably wasn't so healthy. And then you learn a little bit more about yourself and you start to realize, well, look at all of the ways that I've had to compensate for that. Look at all of the ways that it's held me back. Look at all of the beliefs that I have about myself. And God, if only that hadn't happened, then I would be here or I would be there. And then you realize, well, the light side of all of that dark stuff is usually the stuff that I'm most proud of myself for.
Yes.
So the fact that you were maybe a little bit alone in childhood means that you're very self-sufficient when you're an adult. Or the fact that you didn't have any to support you means that you have no concern about working on your own and continuing to take a bet on yourself, so on and so forth. And then you have to get to this really difficult place, which is, okay, so this is a thing that I kind of wish hadn't happened, and yet I'm grateful that it did. And it's like a, the idea of quantum superpositions.
Yes.
It's like a psychological superposition that you need to hold in your head at the same time. You can't collapse it down into one. You need to hold both of these things. It's like, yeah, that's fucked. Like, that shouldn't have happened. I really wish that. And had you have been able to see you, had you at 36 have been able to see you at 12, you'd have picked them up and given them a hug and said, I believe in you and you don't deserve this. But it needs to happen to you.
It was meant to be. Now, I don't believe like everything's meant to be. I think situations are meant to be, and then it's our job to choose how we're going to use them or be used by them, right? I think that's the difference.